231 Natural Enemy. I head towards the human presence, slowly advancing while being careful to not make a sound. It might just be for my own peace of mind, seeing his body's so massive, but it's a matter of feeling. That's why, when my partner swings her head to and fro, it doesn't bother me. It absolutely doesn't bother me.
Gah. Gah.
This girl, is there no way for me to separate from her? If I remember correctly, if you cut an earthworm in half, both halves can keep moving. Can't we do something along those lines? After chopping off her neck, I'll use soul appendment fake life. Nah, I don't really want to try it. As I get closer, I am able to distinguish two human presences as well as the faint presence of something else. I sense excitement from the two humans. Could they be fighting a monster? If that's the case, I need to hurry. I don't want to see humans get slaughtered in front of me, and I still owe the Lithivars for their tribute. I look behind me. The white, who's been following along, suddenly stops. Go! I point to a spot on the ground, trying to convey a weight here to the white. She looks in the direction of the humans and nods her head. I don't know if it's thanks to the servant of the evil dragon skill, but I'm glad that all it takes is a gesture for my intention to get through. Though I'm a little nervous about leaving the white by herself. I scratch a nearby large tree with my claw. I don't want to use soul appendment fake life meaninglessly, but it's necessary to use it to make a guard for the white. The little treant had the servant of the evil dragon title skill. If I gave it an order, it would have had to obey. Hey partner, can you turn this tree into a monster?
Gwa.
She nods her head and cries out. A black light covers the tree. But after the light clears, the tree hasn't changed. So far we've only tested it on flesh, bone, and saplings. A fully grown tree is probably a bit too much. It might be a problem of the skill level. Just leaving the white here would be a bit too dangerous. I haven't got the time to experiment everything, so should I go with hiding the white in my mouth? But then, in the worst case scenario, if the white were to be seen, it would be just begging for a huge misunderstanding. If someone were to see me spitting a skeleton out of my mouth and then I were to say it's a mistake. I wasn't eating them, it's for their protection, there's no way anyone would believe me. I'd run away crying. But yeah, if it becomes a serious incident, I'd definitely regret it. For the time being, I'll make sure to never open my mouth. It'll be okay, right?
Gah.
My partner lets out a much more powerful roar than before. A flood of black light smothers the entirety of the tree. The tree's bark distorts, transforming into a face. Its thick roots pull up, cracking the ground. As expected, the scale of it is way greater than the saplings.
Gishwa.
The tree smashes the ground with two of its branches, letting out a loud shriek. Several of its leaves tear off and scatter into the air. To turn something massive into a monster, you need a corresponding amount of magic power, it seems. With my amount of magic power, that shouldn't be a problem. So I think anyway. Species, Lesser Treant. Condition, Cursed. LV, 1/25. HP, 25/25. Mepe, 12/12. Attack, 15. Defense, 22. Magic, 20. Speed, 10. Rank, D. Characteristic skills. Darkness attribute, LV-. Resistance skills. Physical resistance, LV2. Normal skills. Take root, LV3 clay, LV2 rest, LV1. Title skills. Servant of the evil dragon, LV-. It's stronger than the white, but will this be enough? After making a stronger monster, I'll... The white pokes my leg. What is it? I bring my head closer to the whites. She points in the direction of the humans. The Lithivar people were the whites' friends when she was alive. She might have clued into something about them instinctively.
Go.
I look away from the white and focus on the newly created treant. I'm counting on you with the white.
Gishwa.
That got through, right? Its branches shift, but it doesn't attack. I start moving towards the human presences, repeatedly looking back behind me. As I get closer, I start to hear the sounds of people battling a monster. A feeling of cold runs down my spine. Somehow this sensation feels familiar. I quicken my pace.
Hey, Gouvet, Jesus. Hey.
Aya.
Saya.
The humans were without a doubt Lithivars. There's a man with a long, decorated spear and one of the shrine maiden girls who brought me the tribute. The girl closes her eyes and chants some sort of incantation. It seems my hunch was right. What the large man was fighting was indeed one of those mysterious bugs, an abyss. VEE. The abyss wriggles its 8 irregular legs, circling around the large man. As always, its body is unpleasant and its movements creepy. The abyss is a C-rank monster. They've done a good job keeping up with it. It should be a bit stronger than Hagen, but a lot weaker than Adofu. I thought that spear looked a bit strangely long, but it might be just the right length for fighting an abyss. From what God's voice has told me, abyss eat by hunting prey smaller than their self. If their numbers are high, they'd be a major threat to the Lithivars.
Kuviai! Kuviai! Ryitsu!
With the shrine maiden-like girl's shout, the abyss pauses unexpectedly. Just as I thought the abyss is going to make a run for it, it suddenly appears behind the large man. The man swings his spear in a large arc. The tip of the spear strikes a fang of the abyss with the full centrifugal force of its movement. I might not have been able to react in time if I was in his place.
Yezu! Yezu!
Together with the girl's voice, the man repeatedly stabs his spear into the taken-aback abyss. The abyss quickly distances itself from the man with zigzagging movements and disappears into the undergrowth. As ever, its movements are disgusting. Perhaps relieved by its retreat, the man thrusts his spear into the earth. Behind him, the abyss silently appears.
Govy!
Alerted by the girl's shout, the man reaches for his spear in a panic, turning around. This was dangerous timing. I leap out from the forest and crush the abyss under my forefoot.
Vu.
An ochre-yellow liquid spurts from its mouth, its limbs flailing wildly. The sensation of it wriggling beneath my forefoot is gross. I press down with more weight. Its legs stop moving, more liquid spurting from its back. 126 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 126 experience points have been acquired. I did it with my bare hands.
GA.
My partner lets out a sorrowful cry, sounding as if she were lamenting the end of the world. I also want to cry. I rub my hand against the ground, trying to remove as much of its body fluids as possible. Damn it, it's not coming off. It smells like boiled stink bugs.
Dragon God-sama?
The man looks up at me with his mouth hanging open. His spear falls to the ground with a sound. Startled by the sound, he opens his eyes wide and stoops into a bow, fumbling for his spear. If you humble yourself that much, I'll be the one put on the spot. Rather, I'm starting to get nervous. 232 contact.
Dragon God-sama. You came to save me.
Remaining on his knees, the large man bows his head profusely. Your appearance had not been seen for a long time, so we thought you must have gone away somewhere. To return in time for the breeding season of the abyss, this baron has nothing but thanks.
I am honored to meet you once again.
No, you've definitely got the wrong dragon. I'm sorry, but I don't know anything about the previous generation. That dragon really has gone away somewhere, I expect.
For that matter, what are you doing telling me about the mating season of the abyss for?
Are you a devil? I want nothing to do with those bugs. The Miko-like girl walks forward and lines up next to the man. She uses her hand to cut the air, chanting T-Ray under her breath. She then points her staff at me and closes her eyes. This is Dragon God-sama's Miko, BB. Although your form has changed, we are relieved to be able to once again accept your help. Her voice appears directly in my head. It seems she can use telepathy. She spoke normally when she came to deliver the tribute, but that might have been because it was part of a ceremony or something. Though I can understand her just fine normally. Well, I'll be able to communicate too this way, so I'm grateful. It's not like I couldn't use humanization technique to hold a conversation, but this way might be better seeing as I'm less likely to mess up. From what Adofu told me about them, I was under the impression that the Lithivars are a dangerous tribe. They might be the type to show hostility to outsiders, so as soon as they figure out that I'm not their dragon god, they might that hostility on me. But then I'd just save them from that demon beast. If I'm going to be exposed eventually, maybe I ought to prove myself now before things get too complicated. I really don't want to have to see their hostility, but if I were to keep insisting that I was their dragon god, I get the feeling that our relationship could become irreparable. There's only the two of them, so persuading them now might be easier. Alright, I've decided my plan of action. In the worst case, if it becomes a battle, the overwhelming difference in combat strength should make it easy to neutralize them. Just like with the ball rabbit, to talk back I need to imagine suddenly thrusting my intention towards my conversation partner. The truth is, I'm different from the previous generation of Dragon God. Dragon God Sama must have ran out of patience with us and left.
Yum, yum.
The large man, Baron, sobs into his hands. He slams his head on the ground then quickly bows his head, tears of joy leaking from between his fingers.
No, I just told you I'm different from that dragon, Dragon God Sama, what did you do?
Once again, I received a message from telepathy. Flustered, I involuntarily bow my head a bit. Baron suddenly raises his head. His face paint has been ruined by tears and his face is covered in dirt, but his expression is beaming. I'm an idiot for getting swept up like that. I look away from Baron's passionate gaze. Baron, stop showing such disgraceful behavior in front of Dragon God Sama. You're bothering Dragon God Sama, you know?
But.
The Dragon God's Miko, Bibi, opens her eyes and chides Baron. She's quite short and her unblemished skin makes her look rather young. I'd guess that she's around 15 to 17 years old. However, because of his physique, Baron looks to be her elder. I'd guess that he's in the middle of his 20s. Although, going by their exchange, Bibi the superior here. As expected, the position of Dragon God's Miko is an important one. Contrary to her age, she seems much more composed than Baron, so I get the impression that in her past, she's already experienced some hardships. Anyway, I can't help with the fact that I bowed my head. With this I'll have to switch to plan B. I don't know where the first generation has gone or what they're doing, but I just have to become the second generation of Dragon God. Well, with this I've reduced the risk of them becoming hostile as well as avoided them becoming confused. Before I get found out, I should be able to build a relationship of trust with them without issue. Judging by the two of them, they're not as bloodthirsty a group as rumored. They must be misunderstood somehow, I think. Besides, being pampered by them wouldn't be bad either. After seeing the look in Baron's and Bibi's eyes, I turn away to face the sky. This is bad, I can't help but start to smile. I'm meant to be a dragon god, so I need to be sharper. It's been a long time since anyone has looked at me with those eyes. Not since I was a little plague dragon and saved that village from the rock dragon. It didn't even last an entire hour that time though. It's finally here, the guardian deity route. It's the popular phase of my dragon life. Though it's about time for me to return. The white should be waiting for me. I left her with a treant as a bodyguard, but if a high-rank monster comes it won't be able to do much. I turn around. Are you leaving already, Dragon God Sama? Everyone is worried, so please come to our village just one time. Telling everyone what's happened here and calming them down is my job. Baron, please be silent. To go as far as to trouble Dragon God Sama so. No, it would be nice to visit them once, or rather, I want to go see them. But I can't exactly take my eyes off the ear-rank white for such a long time. It might have to wait until the white's grown up a bit more. Besides, did you forget that we're here to collect medicinal herbs for the traveler? Even now, that person is suffering, you know? But. No, that is correct, Bibi-sama. Baron hangs his head crestfallen. The sight of this large man shrinking down in front of a girl looks pitiable somehow. But they're looking after a traveler, huh? As I thought, they're not the dangerous tribe that the rumors make them out to be. A suffering traveler? Something about that catches my interest. I look towards the area of forest where the white should be waiting for me. The image of the white worriedly pointing towards where her former companions, the Lithivars, floats to the surface of my mind. Did she want me to resolve her worries? I wouldn't think so, but... I turn around again, facing Bibi and Baron. Dragon God Sama? Would you mind telling me about that traveler? 233 Signs of the Manticore. The traveler I mentioned is a woman who came to visit our village. She was injured by a monster. Detoxification was needed, so we set out to gather the ingredients to make an antidote. Hibby informs me by telepathy. As I listen, I grow more and more uneasy. It can't be. But I don't have the evidence to deny it. What I've heard so far fits my suspicions too well. Isn't there anything I could ask to prove it one way or the other? As I think that, an idea strikes me. Where was the traveler injured? I question her, watching her face while hoping against hope. Where, you ask? She was injured is near the base of her stomach. Fortunately, the attacker left her with a shallow wound, but even so. My suspicions condense into conviction. I'm nearly certain it's the manticore. After receiving my poison fang, it must have used humanization technique to infiltrate the Lithivar village. To eat their children and then pretend to be a traveler in need of their assistance, it's got guts. Leaving it alone would be bad. It's probably planning on eating more of the children after it heals up. I look in the direction of where I left the white. Sorry, White, it looks like it'll be a while longer until I can return. I need to check in on your hometown, so please wait a little longer. Noticing the movements of my eyes, Baron tilts his head curiously. He might be thinking that I noticed the presence of a monster or something. I change the direction I'm looking and Hibby closes her eyes and frowns. Oops, that was dangerous. I lightly shake my head to obscure which way I was looking. As she is now, it would'll be bad if the white were spotted by the Lithivars. Telepathy lets my thoughts be read, so depending on the situation, I can't be confident that traces of what I'm thinking to myself aren't picked up on. I'd like to think that it can only pick up on thoughts that I intentionally try to transmit, but seeing as I can't use it, I don't know its extent. It would be best to be cautious here. Even though it's convenient, I should avoid having the Miko use telepathy as much as possible. I want to quickly go to their village and quickly return, so I need to get the two of them to guide me right away. I crouch down. Urging the two of them to get on my back, I lower my head to the ground. I'm counting on the two of you for guidance. Hibby slowly climbs on top of me, but Baron stops in place. He sticks his spear into the ground, closes his eyes and inclines his head. By some chance, could there be a rule that only Micas can ride me? I'm starting to wonder if the previous generation was a womanizer. As a local custom, I can appreciate it. But is it really okay to leave Baron behind as a result? Baron, please take care of the herb gathering. Huh. Even by myself, I will produce results. Ah, they're dividing up their roles. Though they didn't talk before deciding their roles, so the only the Miko can ride me theory is still going strong. But will Baron be able to fend off an abyss by himself? They can suddenly disappear from sight and hide their presence. I haven't been able to confirm it yet because I really don't want to look at them for long, but I think they must have some sort of stealth skill. I rub more of the thick yellow liquid off my arm as I think. In Baron's battle against an abyss earlier, Hibby kept shouting something. I thought it was some sort of incantation, but it was probably telling Baron where to move. When the abyss disappeared, Hibby was quick to shout out. She probably used presence detection or something similar. It could be that without her assistance, Baron would have fallen to the abyss surprise attack. From what I could observe of the situation, it looked like he was only able to get the upper hand thanks to her help. If possible, I'd like for you to postpone the herb gathering until later. If my prediction is correct, they won't be needed anyway. Besides, if you tell me what to look for, I'm sure I'll be able to find them quickly. Though I'd like to escort the white and Treant to the shrine first. Still, telepathy and presence detection, huh? This Lithivar Miko really is outstanding. There's just the matter of the rough guy bowing his head. There's a chance White might remember him. If so, that would be wonderfully convenient. Ga. Uboha. Dragon God Sama? What are you? What are you? My partner, who's been behaving herself until now, has suddenly picked up Baron with her mouth. Separated from the ground, his legs are kicking feebly. Wait a minute, what is this kid doing? She places Baron down on her back and looks at me with an impatient expression, as if to say that this is fine. Please be a little more considerate. I got seriously worried there, you know. For that matter, there's teeth marks on Baron. She didn't draw blood, but that's still bad, right? We're monsters after all. Even for trivial things, each of our movements is terrifying to humans. Baron was seriously frightened there, you know? If we're unlucky, there could be lasting effects. In the future, for these sorts of things. The marks of Dragon God Sama's teeth.
Ha Hibisama?
Hibisama, please look.
This here, see, please look.
Baron joyfully exclaims, examining an indent on his side, his face bright red. Making a huge fuss, this half-naked man is twisting around, trying to show off his side to the young lady sitting in front of him. Describing it is one thing. The experience of it occurring before my eyes, or rather on my back, is even tougher. This person, he's become a little perverted. I'm started to get a little scared of visiting the Lithivar village. Not everyone will be like this guy there, right? If people start clamoring for me to give them tooth marks too, I'll be in a pinch. If that happens, I'll have to do my best to pretend to not understand them.
GA.
It seems my partner is also pulling away from him. I can read a grimace on her face. She's stretching out her head, trying to put as much distance as she can between herself and Baron. 234 The Lithovar Village. With Hibby and Baron on my back, I charge through the forest. Hibby is telling me the direction through telepathy. I easily leap over the river. The shock of my impact shakes the surroundings, startling away monsters that appear from the mud and undergrowth. The monsters look like round mice or wolves. After she levels up a bit, perhaps the white will be able to hunt them. Part way through the journey, I sense a creepy presence behind me. Not wanting to slow down, I ask my partner to watch the path ahead so I can check behind. Far behind us, I see 5 children sitting on a branch, faintly glowing with white light. They're the same as the monster we saw before that my partner wanted to eat, the Raren. They're staring back at me from the slight cavities where their eyes should be. But they have no ill intent, right? They're just looking, right? Somehow they're super scary though. Tree going to hit. Receiving my partner's warning, I quickly face forwards and dodge the oncoming obstacle. It seems the forest children are also pleased to see the return of Dragon God-sama. They must have been worried that the forest would be thoughtlessly destroyed. While I'm wondering about the Rarens I saw, Hibby gives me an explanation by telepathy. I see, those guys hate damage to the forest. That fits with how God's voice described them as living by sucking magic power out of trees. If they have the position of guardian deity of the forest, then I guess the dragon god could well be a welcome existence for them. I need to be careful not to mess up. If I were to mass-produce trance, they might start looking at me with hateful eyes. Could it be that I've already become a target of observation since I made trance? That's not the case, right? They're just watching me because I was in the dragon god's shrine, right? The journey continues without event, other than Baron stroking my back with strange hand movements, causing my partner to get more and more irritated. Baron, impossible. Get him off me. Isn't it fine? It's much better than cut up by a sword, that's for sure. There was that time I got half-killed after rushing up to some humans in joy. My partner looks back at Baron gloomily. Even though she's not able to move it freely, she really does consider it her own body too. Though she used a masculine turn of expression there. Because of the description of my species as a hermaphroditic double-headed dragon, I was convinced she was the female type. No, that line of hers could just have been the result of my influence on her. Next time I humanize, I'll do it with 2 heads, so that way I'll be able to tell. Though if a human sees us, they'd see us as a yokai for sure. After running for a while longer, I feel a large number of presences through presence detection. This feeling they're humans. We must be closing in on the village. I slow down and come to a stop in front of a wooden gate. The gate is just barely small enough for me to pass under if I stoop. It seems that the Lithovar village is surrounded on all sides by a fence of stakes. The fence is low enough for me to step over, but to avoid startling them I'll enter through the gate. Compared to the sight of a dragon suddenly jumping over their fence, taking the time to enter through the gate should look much less threatening. If I'm going to be their guardian deity, then minding my manners is the least I can do. If I were to cause a panic that takes focus away from the traveler, it could be an obstacle to defeating the manticore. Standing in the gateway is a spear-wielding man. A gatekeeper, I guess. Dr. Dragon God-sama?
Hibby-sama?
What is... The gatekeeper looks up at me and drops his spear, unsteadily walking closer. Dragon God-sama has expressed concern for the traveler. For that reason, we have accompanied him. Rather than concern, it's more like animosity though. It would be great if I was worried for nothing, but if a traveler with a belly wound showed up with this timing, I can only think it's the manticore. Humanization technique should use a ton of MP, so I could be wrong, but it seems all too unlikely to be a coincidence. There could be a skill I don't know about. I won't be able to feel relieved until I check with my own eyes. I turn my neck to look at Hibby sitting on my back. Guessing I have something I want to say, Hibby closes her eyes. Hibby, where's the traveler? Without alerting her, I'd like for everyone nearby to back Lawi. There's a chance that the traveler is a transformed monster. I see, so that's why you hurried over here. I'll make arrangements right away. However, the traveler is in the medical area, so evacuating people without raising her suspicion will be difficult. Having asked my question, I receive a reply through telepathy. As soon as she finishes, Hibby jumps off my back. She bends her knees as she lands, neatly absorbing the impact. After lightly prodding the ground with the tips of her feet as if to test it, she moves in front of the gatekeeper. Gozu, please call out for the injured in the medical area to be taken to the meeting area. Without mentioning Dragon God-sama, please come up with a convincing reason. I don't mind if you use my name. However, please tell the traveler to remain in bed. If she seems suspicious, then please immediately report back here.
I understand.
It seems the gatekeeper's name is Gozu. Without pausing to pick up the spear he dropped, he runs as fast as he can into the village.
Gwa!
My partner stretches out her head and picks Baron up by his head, forcing him down to the ground. Having seen Hibby's and Goza's exchange just now, she must have decided that there was no longer a need to have him on her back.
Yua!
Baron crashes into the ground hard, raising up a cloud of dust.
That's overdoing it a bit.
Gwa! With her quiet cry, Baron is enveloped in light. At least she did use rest. Looking up, I see brickwork buildings lined up in the distance. Cylindrical in shape, none of them are all that big. From the shade of those buildings, I see a group of Lithovar children looking at me timidly. The three of them are standing side by side. I crouch down on the spot so that I don't intimidate them, lowering myself to the ground. All three of their faces light up and they run over to me.
It's Dragon God-sama. It's Dragon God-sama. He really did come back.
The guardian deity route really might not be bad.
What should I do? Can I move in here permanently already?
235 The Traveler.
Hibby, who's walking in front, looks back at me.
She closes her eyes and chants T Risu in a quiet voice. That's the same incantation she's used for telepathy before. I don't think it's necessary for telepathy though, so maybe it's to raise her focus or something. Seeing as it's not like she does it every time. There is the medical area. The traveler is inside. As expected, a message arrives from Hibby via telepathy. I shrink down and hide in the shadow of a nearby building. Stretching out my neck, I look in the direction of the medical area. There's some open space between it and the other buildings. Probably, that's where the manticore is. Once everyone's left, I'll rush closer and check whoever's inside. If they're a monster, then before they can resist, I'll destroy them along with the building. That's the most I can do to limit the collateral damage. As for the other Lithovar people, I'll just have to convince them by showing them the manticore's corpse. The more time I waste thinking about unnecessary things, the longer the manticore has to work out what's happening. I'll settle it in an instant. In terms of average stats, I am superior. From the medical area, I see a child missing a leg being carried out on the back of an adult. I look away reflexively. Right next to this village there's a forest filled with dangerous monsters. Things like that are bound to happen. Everyone should be done evacuating by now, I think. Goza should be coming to tell us any second now.
Dragon God-sama.
Dragon God-sama is in the village.
Hibby-sama, why ever did you not tell us?
This being the case, right away I must let the others.
From behind I hear a hoarse voice.
Facing me, there is an old woman with a crooked back. This is not the time for that. Please move away from the medical area and head to the meeting area. Please tell others to do the same. Hibby is telling each person she sees to move away from the medical area in case the manticore goes on a rampage. As if there could be something more important than Dragon God-sama. As a Miko, Hibby-sama should know better than to say such nonsense. And no, that something is the reason I'm here in the first place. Ah, see, Dragon God-sama is. As Hibby is about to say something to the old woman, I suddenly have an unpleasant premonition. I turn back towards the medical area. 3 people are leaving the building. One of them is Goza the gatekeeper, another is a Lithovar child. The third is a tall woman wearing a cloth robe. Trying to get the robed woman to stop, Gozu is saying something desperately. Without a doubt, that woman is the traveler. She must have seen through the deception and came out.
What should I do?
I need to think quick or this situation could get bad. The woman's slanted eyes look similar to the manticore's somehow. Her fierce brown hair reminds me of the manticore's mane. My first look at her all but confirms that she's my target. Species, manticore. Condition, humanized LV9 poisoned minor. LV, 73/80. HP, 226/453.
MEPE, 130-142.
Attack, 206/413. Defense, 114/228. As expected, she's the one. It's a complete match. I pull back my head in a hurry. Somehow her MP's almost at max. How does that work? Even though I choose to specialize in MP, this absurdity is possible. No, this isn't the time for that. I need to calm down. The poison hasn't progressed at all. Had her treatment almost finished?
But what do I do?
There's two people with her. Their footsteps are growing distant. They might be heading to the meeting area. I need to make my move before it's too late. What if I were to retreat for now? No, there's no way I can do that. I can't predict how the manticore will act now that she's suspicious. While I'm thinking, one of the three sets of footsteps stops. Then the other two's footsteps also stop. The manticore should also have presence detection. I guess it's found me. If that's the case, then I don't have time to worry.
Dragon God Sama?
Hibby calls out. I ignore her, leaping from the building's shadow.
Go!
I run. Anyway, I run as fast as I can. Before she can think of what to do, I'll blow her away. Seeing me, the traveler pales. She must be remembering having run away with her tail between her legs. She swings one of her arms. The cloth robe covering it tears, revealing the tough arm of a beast. She must have undone humanization technique in just one arm.
Gua?
Gozu is sent tumbling across the ground, his body getting battered all over. He finally comes to a stop, covered in blood. A claw wound is visible in his shoulder where he was struck.
TR Traveler-san?
The left-behind child takes a step back, trying to get away from the manticore.
Go!
I swing my arm, creating a wind slash. The manticore grabs the child with her human arm and avoids the blade of wind. Blood spurts from her grazed shoulder, but it's shallow. The blade of wind cuts down a tree behind her. The manticore glares at the fallen tree, her expression becoming grim. She grips the child's neck, holding him out like a shield. She's threatening to use him to block my next attack. This is the worst-case scenario. She was able to take a hostage in the end. Aga. No, please. Help. With his throat squeezed, the child is struggling to speak. The manticore glares at me. Her appearance has changed slightly. Her hair has become even fiercer, and her eyes have changed to look like those of a wild animal. The whites of her eyes became yellow, and the skin around her eyes is becoming darker. Inhumanly sharp teeth are visible in her mouth.
Gebahae!
The manticore opens her mouth wide and howls as if to intimidate me. Terrified, the child is unable to make a sound. Taking the child, she retreats into a nearby building. Why would the manticore go somewhere like that of her own accord? She has a hostage, so I can't interfere, but there's no reason to go out of her way to go into a dead end like that, surely. I draw closer to the building. Just as I'm wondering what to do, the wall on the opposite side of the building collapses, the manticore jumping out of it. Her humanization has been completely undone. With a burst, her rear legs kick off the rubble, sending her huge beastly body into the air. Landing on her 4 feet, she immediately runs away. As before, she's stupidly fast. Knowing she can't beat me in a contest of strength, she's fleeing at full speed. I consider chasing after her, but the child appears in my mind. Too late, I realize why she went into the building. She's gone and left the child buried beneath the rubble to buy time.
Whoa!
Crying out, I flap my wings, firing off 2 wind slashes at the fleeing manticore and a third after a slight delay. The manticore dodges to the side. But the third blade strikes her back as she jumps. Jiba! The manticore screams, but doesn't stop running. She strikes the ground with the round tip of her tail, springing into the air. Trampling down the fence around the village, she escapes. As ever, she's fast at running away. It really is unfortunate that I wasn't able to kill her while she was still underestimating me the first time we met. It looks like taking her down will require a plan. 236, the name of the skeleton. The manticore darts out of my field of vision. It's annoying, but I've got no choice but to go along with what she wants. Looking back, I turn my attention to the mountain of rubble she burst out of. Buried underneath, there should still be a child. Though I have to hope he hasn't been crushed to death. I carefully push aside the bricks with my foreleg.
Guo!
Yuin. When I call out, I hear a moan in reply. I'm glad he's still alive, it seems. It came from around here. Gently, I sift through the bricks. Through a gap I see flash of skin color. I glance at my partner.
Ga!
With her cry, a light covers the pinned child. His injuries knit closed, and his contorted expression softens slightly. I lift him out with my foreleg and lay him down on the ground. The child opens his eyes a crack. Tears are running down his cheeks, a faint blush visible. His expression looked like one of adoration. Thank you very much. Dragon God Sama. My own tear ducts are starting to leak. I rub my eyes with my foreleg, feeling a slight wetness. Dragon God Sama just drove away a manticore disguised as a human. Did you see how it fled from him? As expected of Dragon God Sama. The villagers who had been watching gather round. The ones who had evacuated must have heard what happened, as they're also rushing over here in a hurry. And no, please. I haven't been looked at with those sorts of eyes before very much, so it's kind of ticklish. Just how popular is the position of Dragon God? I'll just become their Dragon God already. That'll be fine, right? Yua, what do I do if the real Dragon God Sama returns? Hibi walks over to me. Again, she raises her staff and chants a quiet incantation. Telepathy, huh? I can understand normal speech just fine, though. I would never have expected that the traveler would be a monster. This is my blunder. If Dragon God Sama had not returned, I shudder to imagine what would have occurred. More importantly, I'm worried about how I wasn't able to finish it off. I think she'll come back to attack again. If that's your worry, then please be at ease. The manticore seemed very frightened. As it will be cautious of Dragon God Sama, I expect that it will not show up near the village for a while. Besides, in that direction, well, we might just be very fortunate. Fortunate? Why so? It is nothing worthy of conveying to Dragon God Sama. In either case, there should be no need to be overly cautious for the time being. Saying that only makes me more curious, though. Well, it's fine. The Lith of our tribe must have their own circumstances. Hibi's also making a face as if she doesn't want to talk about it much. But that collapsed building. It shouldn't be too hard for me to rebuild it. My fingers are a bit clumsy, but my size has got to be useful. I get the feeling that I'd be able to mold it into a building shape like clay. It got destroyed because of my mistake, so I should help reconstruct it, right? No, this isn't the time to be full of myself after being fawned over. I stretch my cheeks with my foreleg. My partner, attentive as always, shoots out healing magic right away. There was hardly any damage, but thanks all the same. The White and Treant are waiting for us in the forest. This isn't the time to be thinking about helping to repair a building. I need to return right away. Quite a lot of time has passed already. Get the preparations ready to entertain Dragon God Sama.
Yes.
Which food should I? All of them. Worry about getting permission after. I can see the villagers fussing around noisily. Hey, wait a sec. I'm leaving. I'm sorry, but I have stuff to do. I'm totally grateful for the sentiment, though. Hibi-san. I'm sorry, but please tell them I'm leaving. Ooh. Dragon God Sama looked at me. Everyone is clamoring about every little move I make. They're not calming down at all. A strange sweat appears. No matter where I look, I see feverish gazes looking back at me. Gah. My partner is also shrinking away from them. As she's normally a carefree ball of curiosity, seeing her this nervous is a first. I see just one person, a woman, glaring at me with thin eyes. Her age looks like she could be in her early 30s or is about to enter them. Her expression is dark, her cheeks gaunt, and her face haggard. It's entirely possible that she's a lot younger than I estimated. Everyone else is looking at me warmly, so I noticed her right away. Unconsciously, I stop looking around and stare at her. Meeting my gaze, she turns away uncomfortably and goes into a nearby building as if to run away. Some of the others look in the direction of the woman with puzzled expressions. What is? Did I do something bad? Please excuse her rudeness. I will ask her to stop it later. So, please forgive us. Perhaps having read my surface thoughts, Hibi sends such a telepathy. She must have thought I was angry, because I sense traces of anxiousness in the telepathy she sent. No, that's fine though. Was it something I did? No, that's not the case. She is. How should I say this? Right, she's tired. Please don't think bad of her. It's something to do with me, right? If so, I'd like to hear it. It is nothing worthy of conveying to Dragon God Sama. That line again. If this keeps up, I'll feel like I'm being ostracized. From her reaction, there's no way it doesn't have anything to do with me. I was just thinking casually, but Hibi's face suddenly pales. Oh no. Did she pick up on that? I wasn't thinking all that strongly, so I didn't think it was enough to be transmitted. And no, it's fine if you don't want to say anything else. Her name is Ano. Ano had a daughter, but she was killed by the manticore. From her point of view, it must look like I left on a whim, then came back on a whim. In the dragon god's absence, another monster took up residence in the shrine where it killed and ate children. And then I unexpectedly returned. Well, yeah, I can see why she wouldn't have the best impression of me. The other villagers are welcoming me without reservation, but there's also an undercurrent of worry about whether I'll disappear again. I look up at the sky. Hey, real dragon god, where did you go? If you have a shrine made for you, and are getting along with them for several years, then at least say something before disappearing. Did my predecessor only help them in return for the tributes he was given? Since I have memories of my previous life, I might not really understand the perspective of other dragons. From a dragon's point of view, humans could well be no more than just another species of animals. This is no time to lose myself in sentimentality. I should make my exit soon. If I don't hurry, the White Wilhelm? Could it be? Could the White possibly be Ano's daughter? No, there's no way, right? There must have been lots of people eaten by the manticore. Still, I can't help but be curious about it. I look back at Hibby. Guessing I want to say something, Hibby closes her eyes. Ano's daughter, what was her name? The name of Ano's daughter was Arrow. She was a charming young lady, not yet 10 years of age. Arrow, is it? That age matches how old I estimated the skeleton to be as well. Dragon God Sama? It's nothing, thanks for telling me. Well, I have things that I need to do, so it's about time that I take my leave. Please explain to the others. Are you really leaving so soon? Since you're here. I shake my head, turning away from Hibby. My path out is clogged with people, but they move aside when I nudge them with my head. They look a little sad. I'll come back one day. When the White is able to fend for herself a little better. 237, the forest's pruner. I run back the way I came. With how large my body is, I'm way too big to roll around without altering the local terrain. I can run fast enough, so it's not so bad, but my body is itching to roll around. I miss the desert, where I could roll as much as I wanted. One day, I'd like to compete with the black lizard in another rolling competition. That girl, I wonder how she's doing now. As I draw closer to where I left the White, I use presence detection. In that location, I feel an intense bloodlust as well as the presences of 3 demon beasts. Probably 2 of them correspond to the White and Treant. The third must be a stray. They're in battle. Shit, this is bad. No, I should be glad I was able to get back before it was too late. I'm almost there. Going by the presences, one of the sides isn't moving around much. It seems they're moving in such a way as to keep their opponent in check. Which means it must be around the same rank as them. It would be great if it's a good level for them to gain experience.
Good.
With a roar, I jump towards the 3 presences, mowing down a tree as I land. The shock of my landing reverberates through the area. As expected, I see the White and Treant. Fighting the 2 of them, there's a yellow ochre-colored giant crab. It's a little smaller than a human. The crab's carapace is covered in barnacle-like things, making for a rather weird appearance. There's an extreme mismatch in size between its left and right pincers. Judging from their positions, the Treant is acting as the front line, while the White is providing covering fire from the rear. The Treant has a few scratch wounds, but the White is undamaged. Shocked by my brash entrance, the 3 of them are frozen in place. I'll take this opportunity to check its race. If it looks dangerous, I'll move to kill it right away. Although the Treant has been wounded, so looking at it the other way, its attack strength must be low enough for the Treant to survive being hit several times. Besides, at this distance I can kill it in an instant. The danger to the White or Treant is minimal. Giant forest crab, D-rank monster. It uses its differently sized pincers to unleash an irregular stream of attacks. Its carapace is parasitized by a colony of Doranks, which, in exchange for sucking out magic power, fortify its carapace. There are some individuals on which the Doranks have multiplied too freely, resulting in death through magic power exhaustion. Doranks? Ah, those barnacle things. It doesn't sound like it has any particularly dangerous traits, and its rank's not all that high. Seeing me, it must have decided it's at a disadvantage as it's sidestepping away. I think it's trying to run away. We can't be having that. The White is only level 1 now. She could die in a heartbeat. Sorry, but there's no way I can let such juicy prey get away. I swiftly circle around to cut it off. Seeing my movement, the White nods her head with a sound. She seems to have understood my intent. The giant forest crab turns on the spot, rotating 90 degrees.
Gesha.
The treant swings a branch down at the crab. But the crab cut the branch with its giant pincer, then darts past the treant towards the white. It'll be planning to escape by pushing past the white, I suppose. The white raises her arm towards the oncoming crab. The wind stirs around her, creating a mini tornado. The tornado moves towards the crab, sending fallen leaves and bits of earth flying. By elimination, I guess this must be her Gale skill. It's wind manipulation magic, it seems. The crab swings its giant pincer into the oncoming whirlwind. The whirlwind is violently snuffed out. Surprised by her attack being cancelled out so easily, the white takes a step back. I can't tell from her expression, but judging by her movements, she wanted to end this fight in a hurry. To beat the D-rank giant forest crab as an E-rank herself, she's under a lot of pressure. Turning its body, the crab wards off the impact of the whirlwind without slowing down. It rotates its body again as it draws closer to the white, swinging its giant pincer. The white jumps up, neatly landing on top of the pincer. Before the crab can shake her off, she jumps again. She's nimble. She's able to do stunts like that because she has no flesh to weigh her down, I suppose. Towards the white still in midair, the crab swings with its smaller pincer. It suddenly pauses mid-swing. Falling for the feint, the white raises her arm to guard, but the pincer darts below to pierce her abdomen. Compared to the large pincer, the smaller one can move much faster.
That's enough.
I flap my wings, stirring up the wind with magic. It's the standard wind slash, the skill I'm most comfortable with. The blade of wind many times faster than the crab. The smaller pincer that it had extended is sent flying. The crab pushes its stump of an arm towards the white, but loses its balance and falls over. Upside down, the crab's legs wriggle in the air. That's the battle over. Landing on her back, the white falls into a backwards roll and springs back up. Upon seeing the defeated crab, she leans against a nearby tree and sinks down. She must be quite exhausted. With her MP total, a single use of magic is enough for her to run out.
Ga.
With my partner's cry, the treant is enveloped in light, its wounds gradually closing. As for the white, it doesn't look like she's injured. I move closer to check on her. Noticing my approach, she turns her head to look up at me with her empty eye sockets. It seems she's feeling released from the mental strain of battle. Well done, you did a good job holding out. The treant also protected the white nicely. If the white was by herself, she might have been killed. Well then, we should finish off the giant forest crab. I look towards where I left it. But it's not there anymore. Huh? Did it get away? But that sound I'm hearing is... I hear a crunching sound coming from beside me. Looking to the side, I see my partner eating the crab, shell and all. As she faces the sky to gulp it down, its giant pincer falls and sticks into the ground. I mean, I don't particularly mind. But I do wish you'd talk to me first. If the treant or white were to deal the finishing blow, they might have gained more experience points. 1 for experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 14 experience points have been acquired. Ah, it was in the range for me to acquire experience points. I thought D-rank would be too weak by now. It really is a tiny amount, but it's better than nothing. Though what I care more about now is the whites and treant statuses. They fought it to some extent, so they should have gained some experience points too. 238 arrow. My partner licks around her mouth, clearing away fragments of crab shell. Then, with a aigua, she lets out a sound that's a mix between a cry of satisfaction and a yawn. I look away from my partner to face the white sitting on a tree root. Well then, I should check her status. The giant forest crab was a D-rank monster. As an E-rank monster herself, she should have gained tons of experience points. Species Skull Lomage. Condition Cursed. LV 4/13. HP 9/26. Mepe 2/22. She didn't level up as much as I thought she would. Just 3 levels? Even though she tried so hard. Well, the one who dealt the finishing blow was my partner. The treant probably contributed the most to the fight, and then in the end I was the one to crush it, so I suppose that might be an appropriate amount of experience. Besides, I have my experience doubling skill as well as my experience threshold reducing skill. Probably, that's why my intuition is so far off. It's fine not to rush things. She was able to level up 3 times from a battle where we had a decent safety margin. Let's proceed with safety as the priority. It'd all come to nothing if she were to die.
She's already dead though.
She became a skeletal mage, so I wonder what she'll evolve into next. She'll be able to get her flesh back, right? She won't just evolve into some sort of grand skeletal mage or something, right? If she were to keep leveling up and ultimately evolve into some sort of bone amalgamation monster in which she gets stuck with that final evolution title skill, I wouldn't know how to console her. While I'm looking at her, she hangs her head.
What is it?
Was I staring too much? Whether she's being bashful or is just tired, with that poker face there's no way I can tell. It would be nice if she were to get facial muscles and became able to talk normally. If that were to happen, I could talk about various things with her to break up the tedium. But if that happened, she might want to return to the village. Letting her do so is my objective, but it feels lonely all the same. While I'm staring at the round back of her head, a thought pops up. The name of Aino's daughter was Ero. She was a charming young lady, not even 10 years old. I suddenly recall what the dragon god Miko Hibi told me through telepathy. A girl not yet 10 years old. It really does seem like the white could be Ero. Noticing that I'm thinking about something else, the white raises her head. Our eyes meet again and I steel myself. I need to confirm one way or the other. For simple things my intent is transmitted to her, but I get the feeling that precise things like names are impossible. As a result, I'll have to use humanization technique to ask her in person.
Go.
I'll ask my partner for approval first just in case.
Guo.
She lets out a stupid-sounding cry, twisting her head to the side. I don't really need to get her to understand. The look in her face makes me not care anymore. I stretch out my claws and peel off the spider eggs that are still stuck to her forehead, placing them in a nearby tree.
Gua.
Jigua. She stretches out her head as if to reclaim the egg sacs. Holding her in place, I activate humanization technique. With a hot sensation, my body shrinks down. It doesn't hurt that much. It feels like my body's gotten used to using humanization technique.
Goo goo gua.
As my body's getting smaller, I force my partner inside. She quickly shrinks away. From a gap in my flesh, I see her staring at me reproachfully, but that also disappears in a moment. When the humanization process finishes, I've only got the one head. I spread my hand out, checking its appearance. There's a few pale scales here and there, but it's practically a human hand now. At the start, it was a shitty skill where I had to suffer intense pain each time I used it, so it's really developed nicely. As a test, I try running my hand through my hair. Yep, a human body really is great. Though since I've gotten used to a dragon body, my movements are a bit stiff, sadly. Compared to before, my eyes are on a much closer level to the whites. She's staring at my face with obvious interest. It's her first time seeing me humanize after all. Feeling another gaze, I turn to see the treant twisting its body strangely, observing me from various angles. From a human perspective, the treant is super scary. It's much bigger than I am. It makes me want to look up it more. It's a nice new experience. The white stands up and circles around me, lightly prodding my body in a few places as she does so. Satisfied after touching my body, she staggers and falls to her knees. Could she be envious? Am I bad? I didn't mean to show off. After you evolve 2 more times or so, you'll get a human form too. Definitely, probably. Wait, that's not what I wanted to talk about. Oh. I can speak just fine. Hearing my voice test, the white tilts her head. Ero, the name Ero, do you know it? She tilts her head to the other side. Her movement reminds me of a metronome. Does she not know it then? She does have Grisha language, LV1, so she should have understood what I said. Though whether or not she has memories from her past life is unclear, so I can't say one way or the other just from this. After she evolves a bit more, I'll try asking her again.
Oh yeah, I heard the mother's name too.
It was... Aino? Does that name sound familiar? Hearing my question, she stops moving. When I stop talking, she trembles with a rattling sound. Her jawbone makes a set of 3 motions. I can tell she's trying to repeat the word I just said. She averts her eyes and crouches down. I sit down next to her and pat her head. Her pale, hard, cold skull. I see, you really are Ero then. No reply comes. But it seems like her jawbone moved. Don't worry, white no Ero. I'll definitely get you your human body back. 239 spiderlings.
Gawa.
In the morning I am woken up by the sound of an earnest roar. I rub my eyes and stretch my neck. The light leaking in from the entrance is still dim. It must be quite early in the morning. I would have liked to have slept in another 2 hours or so. Well then. After checking the entrance I look towards Arrow in the back of the shrine. Though her facial expression is as unreadable as ever, she's waving her arms and legs in a hurry. She looks at me through her empty eye sockets, then as if to get me to check, glances over to my partner.
Ga.
Age. Age. She's howling as if she's lost her mind, her head twisted to the side. Stuck to her forehead there's the burst remnants of the egg sac. Crawling over her face there are 8 fist-sized spiders.
Ga.
They finally hatched. They're covered in green fur, the same color as the fur on leg of their parent that was waving around. Spider-san, your children have hatched. I look towards the corner where the spider's corpse rests. I should get around to burying it soon. For that matter, I should give the whole shrine a clean.
Ga.
Alright, first off I should check their species. I concentrate on one of the spiders crawling on my crying partner. Baby Arini, E-rank monster. A species of furry spiderlings. Though its potential is diverse, because it has many enemies only a few individuals are able to become an adult. It has a bitter flavor, but is surprisingly tasty. The parent spider was also an Arini, if I remember correctly. Many enemies, huh? Don't worry you guys, that person you're crawling all over is a full-fledged carer who's going to raise you all. I suppose it's about time I rescue her. I lightly tap her face with my foreleg. The spiderlings crawling over her drop to the ground. Some get stuck upside down, and some quickly right themselves and start crawling through the shrine. My partner limply rests her chin on the ground.
Gua.
Groaning softly, she looks up at me. Tears are welling up in her eyes. With how she had the egg sacs stuck to her face, I could tell something like this was bound to happen. Perhaps I should have stopped her after all. Sha. I thought it was the spiderlings' cry, but it's the sound of their hairs brushing against each other. The rustling sounds are echoing throughout the shrine, making a rather creepy effect. If a human entered a den of these to fight them, even though the adults are only D-rank monsters, they'd be too scared to do anything. Arini are meant to be docile though. I hear a clip-clap sound of bones. Taking care not to bump my head into the ceiling, I turn around to see Arrow surrounded by the spiderlings. Her head rotates as she looks around at the slowly gathering spiderlings. Just as I think they've stopped moving, in the next moment they all rush forwards towards her. A terrific number of footsteps echo. I stretch my head out and Arrow desperately climbs on. Before the spiderlings can follow, I raise my head. The spiderlings quickly lose interest in her, each of them scattering away to explore the shrine. These guys, they really are free-willed. From my forehead I feel a vibration. Arrow is shivering. She must have been quite scared. I'll let her down after she's had some time to calm down. Discipline them properly, partner. It's regrettable, but depending on the situation, we might have to force them out.
Ga.
Traumatized by the experience of them crawling over her, she is being more docile than usual. Hey, the one who said they wanted to keep them was you know? Pull yourself together and look after them properly. Noticing my gaze, she averts her eyes. This girl. But seriously, I don't know if we'll be able to handle this. They're E-rank now, but as they develop they're going to get bigger and bigger, right? Monsters grow up stupidly fast. If I were to mess up when they're all B-rank, I could be killed. If they were to rebel against me, I'd lose. Rather than raising them poorly, releasing them into nature wouldn't leave as bad an aftertaste. Thinking about it normally, monsters aren't something you keep as a pet. While I'm wondering what to do with them, I notice the spiderlings gathering around the remains of their parent. At first there's just one, but then a second and a third join it. Soon all 8 of them have assembled. What are they doing? It's not like they're grieving for their dead parent. The 8 of them quickly disperse again. The remains have disappeared. Only a few strands of green fur are left behind. They've gone and eaten it. That might be normal for a spider, but still. They just hatched so needed the nutrients, I get it, but still. With their stomachs bulging, the satisfied spiderlings gather in a corner of the shrine and start falling asleep. These guys really are free-willed. Oi. What do I do here? Should I really keep them? I turn to look at my partner. She's timidly stretching out towards the spiderlings, drawing her head closer.
Ga.
Then, as if satisfied, she lets out a breath of relief. She turns to face me. Keep? Me keep? Seriously. Just a moment ago, weren't you terrified of them? It's okay. No problem. Alright, well, I'll wait and see a bit longer before deciding. Arrow's also scared of them after all. Leaving the spiderlings behind, I exit the shrine. Noticing me, a tree growing in front of the shrine opens its eyes, uproots itself and starts moving. It's the lesser treant. It seems that treants can rest and heal by spreading out their roots. But an evil dragon, a skeleton, spiders, and a treant. It sure has gotten lively, or rather, I've completely started down the demon lord route. For now, my objectives are raising Arrow's levels and securing a food supply. Well, for the food supply issue, I expect that I'll be receiving another tribute soon. There's one more thing I'm concerned about. What happened to the manticore after it ran away? I could imagine it attacking the village anytime soon, so ideally I want to bring our fight to a close. Also, I'm curious about what the dragon god's Miko meant by because it fled in that direction, it should be fine. There must be something in that direction. While I'm grinding levels and securing food, I might as well investigate it at the same time. 240, the forest's cleaner, oinoin. As planned, I go for a walk through the forest with Arrow. While giving the Lithovar village a wide berth, my objective is to chase after the manticore. If I can locate food and raise Arrow's level on the way, then even better. I'd thought it would be difficult to control the spiderlings if we brought them with us, so I left them in the care of the lesser treant. I asked it to look after them with a gesture, and it accepted with an expressionless nod. Soon enough, one of its branches became a nest for the spiderlings, but I'm sure it can handle them. That's what I believe. Soul Appendment Fake Life already gives them cursed condition, so Arrow and the treant should be unaffected by dragon scales. I think. I can't be certain, but it's a bit hard to imagine a skeleton having a coughing fit. It's only a supposition, so if I notice something strange I'll rethink things, but for now it doesn't look like there's a problem. However, none of that applies for the spiderlings. Before they even hatched, they were stuck to my partner's head, so there's a chance they'll have developed some level of resistance to it like the ball rabbit did, but I wouldn't like to take those odds. It's unfortunate for my partner, but we should cut our interactions with them down to the bare minimum. I'll have to carefully determine if they get resistance skills upon evolving. That's why I left them behind. While searching for human presences with a presence detection, I walk through the forest. As she is now, I can't let Arrow be seen by people. If the dragon god was seen walking around with a skeleton, I wouldn't be able to prevent there being a panic. I've been keeping a lot of distance between myself and the village, so the probability of encountering someone should be really low. Is what I thought, but I notice a human presence. I really can't let my guard down, huh? The Lithivars seem to be a tribe of hunters, so they'll show up even far away from the village. It might have been 2 versus 1, but they were fighting a C-rank abyss like it was nothing. I can't feel any bloodlust or excitement this time, so I don't think they're in battle at the moment. Seeing as I'm trying to investigate why the Miko-san said not to worry about the manticore returning, I don't really want to be seen by any Lithivars. I know I probably don't have to hide, but it would feel a bit awkward to meet them. I wouldn't like them to think I don't trust them. Having taken a roundabout path around the village, I arrive at the area behind it and stop. If I'd flown I could have gotten here and checked it out in an instant, but then I'd be totally visible from below. The dragon scales would have been scattered about too. Its level's quite high now, so I don't know what would happen. Just as I'm thinking I'll casually check the area out, I hear a vulgar chewing sound. Could it be the manticore? Thinking that, I leave Arrow behind and rush in the direction of the sound.
Fugo?
Hidden behind the tree I find a pig-like monster. Folds of saggy skin cover its eyes and it has no neck. It really does look like a large, black pig. Noticing me, the black pig raises its head. Blood is dripping from its mouth. On the ground in front of it, a blue deer-like monster is splayed out, its entrails exposed. I don't know if it has a poor sense of danger or if it just has that much confidence in its strength, but the pig isn't running away from me. I'll take this chance to get off a safe status check. Species Oinoin. Condition normal. LV 9/30. HP 57/68.
Mepe 33.
Attack 32. Defense 41. Magic 19. Speed 22. Rank D. Characteristic skills. Food regeneration, LV1. Facial skin, LV1. Resistance skills, Poison resistance, LV3. Paralysis resistance, LV1. Normal skills.
Charge, LV2 är byte, LV3 är clay, LV1 roll, LV1.
Title skills. Large Eater, LV2. Foul Feeder, LV3. It really is just a pig. No, I can't let my guard down. This guy's got roll after all. What a pig! It must be quite the legendary pig. Putting the jokes aside. It's low level, around D rank. However, its speed and attack power are lower still. Even Arrow should be able to take a hit. But more importantly, Fuga.
Fugo.
It's not even trying to run away from me. For leveling Arrow, it couldn't be more perfect. It really does have guts.
Fugo.
It seems that the black pig is indignant that I don't steal its prey. There's something much more appetizing than the blue deer in front of me, you know. You should look at yourself a bit more objectively. I take a step back and make eye contact with Arrow. She nods and faces the black pig. After confirming that Arrow has stepped forwards, I shrink my body down, trying my best to avoid provoking it. If I accidentally contribute too much, Arrow's share of experience points would drop. I'd like for it to focus on Arrow by herself as much as possible. It didn't look like Arrow was able to get a good hit in against the D-rank giant forest crab, so a D-rank Oinoin might be a bit tough for her. But this time, I'm here from the start. If it looks dangerous, I'll be able to end the fight in an instant, so Arrow should be able to go all out. This black pig isn't a speed type, so attacks on it should be able to land. If she's able to cause the bleeding status condition, she'll be able to deal a lot of damage. If she deals a lot of damage, she should receive a correspondingly large amount of experience points. If all goes well, this could bring her most of the way to her next evolution. No, if she does her absolute best, there's a chance she'll be able to evolve right away. After facing the black pig, Arrow looks back at me and nods with a rattle. Best of luck, Arrow. If you hit the same spot enough times to inflict the bleeding condition, then run around to avoiding it, you've got a shot at winning.